Monday, February 25. The activities of the sea beast. Revelation chapter 13 verse 5 specifies a time period of persecution that we talked about in yesterday's study. The 42 months of the beast's activities is the same time period as the 1260 years or days of the persecution of the woman church in Revelation 12 verses 6 to 14. Verse 6 reads, "Then the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And verse 14 reads, "But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she was nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the presence of the serpent." A prophetic day symbolizes a year. Numbers 14, verse 34. According to the number of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days. For each day you shall bear your guilt 1 year, namely 40 years, and you shall know my rejection. And Ezekiel chapter 4 verse 6, "And when you have completed them, lie again on your right side. Then you shall bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. I have laid on you a day for each year." And it says here to look at Tuesday's study in Lesson 7, and you can turn back to that if you like. The year AD 538 marks appropriately the beginning of this prophetic period, when the Roman Church, with the Pope at its head, established itself as a church-state power that dominated the Western world throughout medieval times. The events of the French Revolution inflicted the deadly wound upon the beast in AD 1798, thus bringing the Church's oppressive rule and the state-empowered religion to a temporary end. Question. Compare Revelation 13, 5-8 with Daniel 7, 24 and 25, and 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 2-12. In what way do the activities of the sea beast mirror the descriptions of the little horn and the man of lawlessness? Revelation 13, beginning at verse 5. "And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. All who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world." And Daniel 7, verses 24 and 25 reads, "The 10 horns are 10 kings, who shall arise from this kingdom, and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time." And 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2-12. And that reads, "Not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ had come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Do you not remember that when I was still with you I told you these things? And now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned, who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. The sea beast's activities during the prophetic period of 1,260 days or years are stated in terms of blasphemies. In the New Testament, blasphemy can denote a claim of equality with God. As we read in John chapter 10, verse 33, the Jews answering him said, "For a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, made yourself God." And Matthew 26, verses 63 to 65. But Jesus kept silent. And the high priest answered and said to him, "I put you under oath by the living God. Tell us if you are the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus said to him, "It is as you said. Nevertheless, I say to you, hereafter you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the power and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest tore his clothes, saying, "He has spoken blasphemy. What further need do we have of witnesses? Look, now you have heard his blasphemy." And the action of usurping his authority. Mark 2, verse 7. "Why does this man speak blasphemies like this? Who can forgive sins but God alone?" The sea beast blasphemies are directed against God to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven, as it says in Revelation 13, verse 6. The dwelling of God is the sanctuary in heaven, where Christ ministers on behalf of our salvation. The sea beast seeks to negate Christ's mediatorial work by attempting to replace it with a human priesthood that claims to administer salvation and the forgiveness of sins. Assuming these powers that belong only to God is the essence of blasphemy. Revelation 13 points to a time of major apostasy in Christianity, which was fulfilled when Roman Catholicism claimed the position and authority of God, with the Pope as its head. Those who refused submission to Rome experienced persecution and martyrdom. Although today such statements are viewed as harsh, even bigoted, the present cannot erase the history, no matter how much some people wish that it would. And so to finish today, how can we stay faithful to prophecy about church history and yet at the same time be kind and cautious as we present these truths to others? You have been listening to a reading of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide by Dr. Percy Harold from Queensland, Australia. This service is brought to you by Hope Channel, the Sabbath School Department, and Christian Services for the Blind. Remember, God is always faithful.